Hello, everybody. Welcome to the 11th episode of our VMware on VMware podcast series about digital transformation, where we speak with VMware IT thought leaders who share insights on how we achieve digital transformation at VMware. I'm Sarita Kar, IT Director at VMware, and your host for this series. In the first few episodes, we talked about the organizational impact, the foundational decisions, and the SaaS mindset that is so essential for digital transformation. In the last episode, we went into the details of VMware's monitoring strategy. Today, we are going to talk about how VMware IT transformed its change management strategy. And for this topic, I'm absolutely thrilled to have the Director of IT Infrastructure PMO and Compliance, Grant Novel, and Senior Manager for IT Change and Release Automation, Sudhindra Chadaga. Welcome, Grant and Sudhindra.
Thanks for having us, Sarita.
Thank you, Sarita.
And thank you for coming. So let us dive into the conversation straight away. So Grant, would you like to tell us about the change management strategy at VMware in the light of our SaaS transformation journey?
Absolutely. So, as we all know, change management is really in place and designed for minimizing disruptions to production systems and applications when changes occur. And we also make sure that we want to reduce any kind of incidents while meeting our compliance standards like SOX and ISO. But with respect to SaaS transformation, our engineering teams are moving at an incredible pace and speed these days in order to deliver. And so in order to streamline, we've had to really shift away from lengthy CAB review processes, non-essential stakeholder approvals, things like that. And what we're really doing is doubling down on our automation-focused approach so that our engineering teams' agility and velocity can really continue to accelerate, but just provide just enough guardrails and process in place to protect against risk.
Thank you, Grant. And as an operations lead, I love any processes that increase agility, and we welcome this change for sure. So Sudhindra, how has change management evolved over the years in the IT industry?
Yes, thanks for that question. So over the last 7 years, or 7 to 8 years, IT change management has transformed and evolved as a flexible change enabling service. We now have a hybrid change management practice to support all of our service owners and stakeholders. We provide them the ability and the freedom to move the changes forward quickly and efficiently. But a few years back, the focus was more on completing the process than on the faster change approvals or implementation onto the production. We were more worried about completing the approvals, attaching the documents. So since then we eliminated all the unnecessary, rubber stamp approvals what we say, and documentations, unnecessary documentation to speed up the workflow. Today we have strong compliance control and a well-defined change management policy. We also implemented automated change ticket creation and also approvals. On an average, our change management team, reviews and progress more than 17,000 changes per ticket, out of which 70% are application or the code changes. And in those 70% changes, nearly 85% code deployments onto productions are zero touch. That means these deployments are triggered automatically post CAB approvals. CAB means the Change Advisory Board approval.
Thank you, Sudhindra. And you and I are both control owners, so we do understand and appreciate the need for strong compliance controls. And I must say, I love the fact that we do zero-touch deployments through automation. We've certainly seen the positive effects of these changes. We have a faster go-to-market. And I know for sure that the dev teams have certainly benefited.
Absolutely, you're right.
So Sudhindra, tell us about implementing the change transformation at VMware. Like, how did we actually do it?
Yes, that's a very good question. I mean, this transformation, right? I mean, initially we had to do a lot of research, do proof of concept. We wanted to move out of one of the tool which was not that flexible for integration or automation. So team did a lot of research, POCs, and brainstorming sessions, and decided to onboard to Jira Service Desk, the Atlassian Jira Service Desk, in 2015. So we were just trying out that application in the initial year, but Atlassian Jira Service Desk enabled us to integrate with various other service management functions like project management, incident management, monitoring, and various other applications. So this transformation helped us to implement critical process and workflow automations. Apart from transforming our application, we also needed to transform our existing policy, the change management policy and procedures, to align with the SaaS world. As you mentioned, right, the demand is faster to production. So our team did a lot of research to customize the workflows and procedures to provide flexible, compliant, and effective change management. In a parallel workstream, we conducted a series of training sessions, awareness camps. We installed a lot of kiosks where people can come and ask questions. What is the big transformation happening? And we publish blogs and articles about the entire transformation.
Thanks, Sudhindra. Spreading the word is as essential as making these process changes, right? And I'm so happy to note that we've spread the word in so many different ways. I remember that I had to go through these change management trainings also some time ago. So you did a good job there.
Thank you.
So Grant, what are the factors that you take into consideration when you decide on which tool or set of tools to use for change management?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think Sudhindra touched on a lot of those already. And with regards to what automation capabilities did we have, workflows, integration, but even things like reporting, self-service dashboarding all come into play. But for us, it was also looking at, well, where the majority of the changes occurring from? And clearly, our development teams, our engineering teams were already on the Jira landscape. And so that's why we took a hard look at Jira Service Desk, Confluence, and said, hey, we can probably get most of our needs met through those tools. Is it perfect? No. But we didn't want to over-rotate on tool selection. Let's look at how do we simplify our tech estate, because ultimately that's going to save the business money and time as well. So ultimately that's the direction that we went through, and we found also things like integrating with VMware ARIA for infrastructure deployment also gained us a number of efficiencies, as well as doing self-documenting changes as part of the code deployment process through Jira. So big wins there. And I think the other key is just to make sure that we're doing as much auto creation of tickets and transparency and seamlessness as possible. As a result, I think our teams are overall happy. They're not worried too much about the changes themselves, but are looking at things like increased visibility into their changes. And we can talk more about that later.
Sure. Thank you, Grant. And in fact, a tech estate optimization is a big point of discussion right now. And I'm glad that the change management team is also looking into it actively and using that as the North Star. And I do love your colorful dashboards, that the change management team sends out every week. In fact, I'd like to share that, we were able to pinpoint some production issues after the change simply by looking at the dashboard and tracking back the change. So it makes it super easy and convenient, as well as super useful for all the operations teams are there.
Yeah, definitely. And I also think that we've been able to gain more trust and transparency with audit teams by using those dashboards and having them to be able to pull various artifacts and any kind of documentation to support their questions was also key for us.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Those dashboards have certainly helped the audit teams as well. So thank you for that, Grant. So Sudhindra, tell us about the challenges that you and your team faced during this implementation of the change transformation strategy.
Yes. a lot of challenges during the transformation journey. As you know, right, nobody likes process, especially when they have done development activities, all the QA testing, UAT testing for months together, and at the end of just before the implementation to the production, we ask them all varieties of questions, ask them to get approvals. Where is this proof? Where is the POT, proof of testing? For audit sake, we take all those documentation. So people never were comfortable initially with the process and forms and the workflows. It was a delayed journey for them, but somehow they were managed and they have learned the process and they were used to it. And now the challenge was to move them from that particular tool to a new tool altogether. You can just imagine how difficult it will be to convince them first why we are changing this tool. So that was the biggest challenge, and we always wanted to. We did a survey initially, understanding all the challenges, questions, and we took all the points into consideration, and we wanted to give them very easy, simple to use forms, easy workflows, effective workflows, to take out all the unnecessary approvals on the path, so that we save time for the ticket submission and for progressing the ticket. But on the other hand, the big challenge was to balance the compliance and regulations. So we did discuss with a lot of subject matter experts and within the team and within the organization to come out with the best way to balance the flexibility and the compliance together. So that is one example. I would say that one of the challenges to balance flexibility as well as compliance. Next was creating awareness about the importance of change management and compliance to our organization, which we did successfully.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more. And I've also had that ringside view of all these changes and the tools that we had to change to, right, as an operations lead. So I do remember all this. And what I really liked about that part was the handholding that your team did, to all the operation folks on the challenges and how they can go on to the new tool. So that was super helpful to all the operation folks. So Grant, as we move forward, what do you think is the future of change management? Like, where is it heading to? Tell us about your vision.
Sure. Just to touch a little bit about what you just said, there was a lot of initial hand-holding with teams to get them on board with the new processes. In the future, it really should be almost automatic and less. There should be less involvement from teams directly, and really just have it seamless as part of their provisioning activities. So that's why we're continuing to do more on the automation side and working with, say, infrastructure teams on a lot of their common deployment practices and just having that streamlined end-to-end. As you know, we do over about 17,000 changes a year, and that's going to continue to increase. So we have to find ways to continue to do zero-touch deployments and couple and bundle changes with that. Obviously, service availability and resiliency continues to be a top priority. And so we also mentioned that a little bit before, but working with the different operations teams, monitoring and observability, the incident teams, to do rapid root cause analysis of incidents due to change, to be able to quickly pinpoint and find out, because as you know, incidents can be related to change. We want to be ruling that out right up front, very quickly, so teams aren't spending their time spinning their wheels on trying to troubleshoot issues. So being able to consolidate change data with system and application logs and correlating those events, that's one of our active programs for us. And I feel that along with change automation, those teams those items are our future at this point.
Yes, indeed. The future definitely looks bright for the VMware SaaS transformation journey and our solutions in this space. And I'm sure fired up about it. So this brings us to the end of this episode. I certainly learned a lot about change management today, and I'm super excited about the scope of change management in our multi-cloud journey. Thank you, Grant and Sadindra. Absolutely loved having you here, and thank you for sharing your thoughts and your vision about change management.
Thank you, Sarita.
Thank you, Sarita.
So, I'm sure our listeners have gained valuable insights about how we are executing change management transformation at VMware. We hope you liked this episode, and if you did, please drop a comment below. We'll be back with another IT digital transformation story in the next episode of this series. To listen to previous episodes, check out podcasts in the resources section of our VMware on VMware microsite, vmware.com/company/VMware on VMware. Stay tuned for more.